Hello and welcome. Look, I know it's an open line Friday, but we've got massive cases from the Supreme Court to deal with first. 877-973-7425 is the phone number. And if you text Eric, E-R-I-C-K, to 33777, you can get the show notes, live stream the podcast, everything else you need. We got to talk about Taimur Mahmood versus Thomas Taylor. This is the other really big. Now, all the cases today were pretty significant, but these two and the Free Speech Coalition versus Paxson, really the biggest three. You should note, those of you in Louisiana listening right now, that you had a case as well, and it was a redistricting case. We were all expecting the decision today on redistricting, and the Supreme Court punted and said, we want re-argument. We'll decide next year. Justice Alito delivered the opinion of the court today in Mahmood versus Taylor, and it is a huge win for religious liberty and for parents. The Board of Education, he writes, of Montgomery County, Maryland, has introduced a variety of LGBTQ plus inclusive, in quotes, what they call it, storybooks into the elementary school curriculum. These books and associated educational instructions provided to teachers are designed to disrupt, in their words, children's thinking about sexuality and gender. The board has told parents that it will not give them notice when the books are going to be used and that their children's attendance during these periods is mandatory. A group of parents from diverse religious backgrounds sued to enjoin those policies. They assert that the new curriculum, combined with the board's decision to deny opt-outs, impermissibly burdens their religious exercise. Today, we hold that the parents have shown that they are entitled to a preliminary injunction. A government burdens the religious exercise of parents when it requires them to submit their children to instruction that poses a very real threat of undermining the religious beliefs and practices that the parents wish to instill. They cite Wisconsin versus Yoder, which we'll get back to. And a government cannot condition the benefit of free speech education on parents' acceptance of such instruction. Based on these principles, we conclude that the parents are likely to succeed in their challenge. Now, I'm going to read you a little bit of this because you really got to understand the factual record of the case. With just over 1 million residents, Montgomery County is Maryland's most populous county. According to a recent survey, it is also the most religiously diverse county in the nation. In addition to hosting a diverse mix of Christian denominations, the county ranks in the top 5 in the nation in per capita population for Jews, Muslims, Hindus, and Buddhists. The county's religious diversity is accompanied by strong cultural diversity as well. The county is home to several notable ethnic communities. For example, the Ethiopian community in Silver Springs, Maryland, is one of the largest in the country. And according to one survey, only 56.8% of county residents speak English at home. Most Montgomery County residents with school-age children, by choice or necessity, send them to public school. As a general matter, Maryland law requires that resident children aged 5 to 18 attend a public school regularly during the entire school year. As an exception to this general rule, the state permits parents to send their children to private school or to educate them at home if certain requirements can be met. Parents who cause their children to be absent unlawfully from school can face fines, mandatory community service, and even imprisonment. Public education in Montgomery County is provided by Maryland County Public Schools, one of the largest school districts in the nation. In recognition of the county's religious diversity, the board's guidelines for respecting religious diversity profess a commitment to making reasonable accommodations for the religious beliefs and practices of students. These accommodations take various forms. For example, according to one official, the board advises principals that schools should avoid scheduling tests or other major events on dozens of days of commemoration during which the school system expects that many students might be absent or engaged in religious or cultural observances. This case, however, arises from the board's abject refusal to heed widespread and impassioned pleas for accommodation. In the years leading up to 2022, the board apparently determined that the books used in its existing English and language arts curriculum were not representative of many students and families in Montgomery County because they did not include alphabet gang characters. Now, he uses LGBTQ+, but it's easier to say alphabet gang. The board, therefore, decided to introduce into its curriculum what it labeled as alphabet gang inclusive texts. As one email sent to principals reflects, the board selected the books according to a critical selection repertoire that required selectors to review potential texts and ask questions such as, is heteronormativity reinforced or disrupted? Is cisnormativity reinforced or disrupted? Are the power hierarchies that uphold the dominant culture reinforced or disrupted? In accordance with this repertoire and other criteria, the board eventually selected 13 Alphabet Gang inclusive texts to use in the English and Language Arts curriculum from pre-K through 12th grade. At issue in this lawsuit are the 5 Alphabet Gang storybooks that are approved for students in kindergarten through 5th grade. In other words, for children who are generally between ages 5 and 11 years old. The lawsuit initially covered 7 books, 1 approved for pre-K and Head Start students and 6 approved K through 5. However, the 1 book was removed from the curriculum due to content concerns, and 1 of the books approved was removed for similar reasons. A few short descriptions will serve to illustrate the general tenor of the school books. Intersection Allies tells the story of several children from different backgrounds, including Kate, who is apparently a transgender child. One page shows Kate in a sex-neutral or sex-ambiguous bathroom, and Kate proclaims, quote, "My friends defend my choices and place. A bathroom, like all rooms, should be a safe space." Intersectional Allies includes a page-by-page book discussion guide that asserts when we are born, our gender is often decided for us based on our sex. But at some point in our lives, we can choose to identify with one gender, multiple genders, or neither gender. The discussion guide explains that Kate prefers the pronouns they, their, them, and asks what pronouns fit you best. Prince and Knight tells the story of a coming-of-age prince whose parents wish to match him with a kind and worthy bride. After meeting with many ladies, the prince tells his parents that he is looking for something different and a partner by his side. Later in the book, the prince falls into the embrace of a knight after the two finish battling a fearsome demon. After the knight takes off his helmet, the prince and knight gaze into each other's eyes and their hearts begin to race. The whole kingdom later applauds on the two men's wedding day. Love Violet follows a young girl named Violet who has a crush on her female classmate Myra. Myra makes Violet's heart skip and thunder like 100 galloping horses, the book says. Although Violet is initially too afraid to interact with Myra, the two end up exchanging gifts on Valentine's Day. Afterwards, the two girls are seen holding hands and galloping over snowy drifts to see what they might find together. Born Ready, the true story of a boy named Penelope, tells the story of Penelope, a child who is initially treated as a girl. The story is told from the perspective of Penelope, who at one point says, "If they'd all stop and listen, I'd tell them about me. Inside, I'm a boy." When Penelope's mother later assures her that if you feel like a boy, that's okay, Penelope responds, "No, Mama, I don't feel like a boy." Penelope tells her mother, quote, "I love you, Mama, but I don't want to be you. I want to be Papa. I don't want tomorrow to come because tomorrow I'll look like you. Please help me, Mama, help me be a boy." Penelope's mother agrees that she is a boy, and Penelope says, "For the first time, my insides don't feel like fire. They feel like warm golden love." Later, after the family starts treating Penelope as a boy, Penelope's brother complains that you can't become a boy, you have to be born one. The comment draws a rebuke from Penelope's mother. Not everything needs to make sense. This is about love. Finally, Uncle Bobby's Wedding tells the story of a young girl named Chloe who is informed that her favorite Uncle Bobby will be getting married to his boyfriend Jamie. When Bobby and Jamie announce their engagement, everyone is jubilant except Chloe. Chloe says she does not understand why her uncle is getting married, but her mother responds by explaining when grown-up people love each other that much, sometimes they get married. The board suggested that teachers incorporate the new texts into the curriculum in the same way that other books are used, namely to put them on a shelf for children to find on their own, to recommend a book to a student who would enjoy it, to offer the book as an option for literature circles, books clubs, or paired reading groups, or to use them as read aloud. And as all with curriculum resources, the board voiced its expectations that teachers use the Alphabet Gang inclusive books as part of instruction. And then the board informed the teachers that they should discourage parents from knowing. They encouraged teachers to assure parents there would be no explicit instruction about gender and sexual identity, and that there may be a need to define words that are newer and familiar to students, and that questions and conversations might organically happen. If parents were not comforted by that information, teachers could tell them that parents always have the choice to keep their students home while using these checks. However, It will not be an excused absence. When parents started showing up and complaining, the school board went further and said parents were not allowed to opt out their children. The board was unmoved. One official spoke up to clarify the storybooks would not be used for explicit instruction. In other words, they kept changing their story over time. The Maryland board insisted that this needed to happen. After these books were introduced, Mahmoud and Barakat asked to have their son excused from class. When Prince and Night was read, their son's principal initially permitted the boy to sit outside the classroom during the time, but after that, the board announced it would no longer be an available option. The schools became hostile to the Muslim parents wanting their children to be opted out. The Supreme Court today said parents get to opt out their kids, and it goes back to Yoder. Wisconsin versus Yoder is a 1972 case where the state of Wisconsin tried to force Amish parents to keep their children in school past 8th grade. In Amish communities, it was recognized that kids would go to school until 8th grade, and then they would return home where the parents would finish their education in the fields and building barns and things like that. And the Supreme Court said that states could not deny Amish parents the right to educate their children as they saw fit because it was a matter of religion for these parents. Here now, the Supreme Court upholds Yoder and says in Yoder there was no suggestion that compulsory attendance laws would compel Amish children to make an affirmation that was contrary to their parents' religious beliefs. Nor was there a suggestion that Amish children would be compelled to commit some specific practice forbidden by their religion. Rather, the threat to religious exercise was permitted on the fact that high school education would expose Amish children to worldly influences in terms of attitudes, goals, and values contrary to their belief. That interference, the court held, violated the parents' free expression rights. The compulsory education law carried with it precisely the kind of objective danger to free exercise of religion the First Amendment was designed to prevent. As our decision in Yoder reflects, the question whether a law substantially interferes with the religious development of a child will always be fact-intensive. And the court held, you can't force these kids to be indoctrinated into sexuality that violates their religion. You can't do it. What's notable is that the dissent said for matters of gay and transgender rights, you can. You see, Wisconsin versus Yoder said that you can't force parents to send their children to school where they're going to be indoctrinated into a worldliness that offends the religious values of the family. And what the dissent does in this case today is say, we stand by Yoder except on matters of sexuality and gender. It's remarkable overreach by the court. Remarkable overreach, or by the minority there. Justice Alito, writing for the 6 conservatives on the court, says you cannot force kids to be indoctrinated on sexuality and gender in ways that disagree with their religion. And that the parents, moving forward, are most likely going to win this case against the court. They've shown entitlement to a preliminary injunction. In the absence of the injunction, the parents will continue to be put to a choice, either risk their child's exposure to burdensome instruction or pay substantial sums for alternative educational services. As we've explained, that choice unconstitutionally burdens the parents' religion exercise, and the loss of First Amendment freedoms for even minimal periods of time unquestionably constitutes an irreparable injury. Furthermore, in light of the strong showing made by the parents here and the lack of compelling interest supporting the board's policies, an injunction is equitable and in the public interest. The petitioner should receive preliminary relief while the lawsuit proceeds. Specifically, until all appellate review in the case is completed, the board should be ordered to notify them in advance whether one of the books in question or any similar books will be used in any way, and to allow them to have their children excused from that instruction. What's really notable here is the reaction of the Montgomery County schools. The Montgomery County schools tweeted, "While we are extremely disappointed with the Supreme Court's decision, unfortunately we're not surprised. The Montgomery County Education Association believes that our public schools should remain inclusive places where differences are celebrated." That is a BS line. Their position was actually Muslim parents should shut up and let the schools push their own religion on their children. These people are mendacious, they are dishonest, they are cruel to people who disagree. And the Supreme Court stepped in today and said parents' religion allows them to educate their children, and if the state wishes to disrupt that education, they got to have a compelling interest which they can't meet in sexual indoctrination.
Those who love him, listen to find out what he's going to say next. Those who disagree with him, also listen to see what he's going to say next. It's the Erick Erickson Show.
121 Cool Ray Carrier, WSB 24-hour traffic center. Stall in the center lane, 285 southbound, the inner loop in Tucker, right at North Lake Parkway, exit 36. That knocks out the center lane, so that's slowing you back into the Dorville area. DOT is also saying there's some emergency road work in Buckhead in the left lane, 400 southbound past Lennox Road, exit 2. Already starting to see the brake lights fill in there, heading down to the Financial Center tunnels. Traffic brought to you by Georgia Commute Options. With Georgia Commute Options, you can get more out of every mile, earn prizes, gift cards, and other cool deals when you switch from driving alone to a cleaner trip. More at mygco.com. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
Yeah! Monday, starting at 5 a.m. on Atlanta's Morning News, our exclusive 5-day forecast helps you plan your 4th of July week ahead. Breaking metro stories, too, and triple team traffic get you to work on time. Plus, when Clark Howard expects car prices to go down, and U.S., Iran, Israel latest, including our Monday chat with CBS's Scott McFarland in Washington. Join us starting at 5 for Atlanta's Morning News on 95.5 WSB.
If you've ever organized your closet only to have it look like a bomb went off in there 1 month later, then it's time to call Artisan Custom Closets. Reach-in closets, walk-in closets, pantry spaces, garages. With a custom spacious closet from Artisan, you'll never have to deal with all that clutter again. All your stuff neatly organized and designed to stay that way. Call the Closet Bomb Squad, Artisan Custom Closets. They'll diffuse your clutter and make it safe to enter your closet again. ArtisanCustomClosets.com.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now.
800-575-2798.
Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS.
Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start.
Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems.
We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau.
You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call
800-575-2798. That's 800-575-2798.
Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Hey everyone, it's your buddy Shelly Winter here. Join me this Saturday at noon for the Car Guys with Kevin Deutsch from Butler Lexus of South Atlanta. Buy or lease, fix or sell, everything you want to know about cars, we will cover Saturday noon to 1 right here on 95.5 WSB.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. If you're over 50 and tired of your wireless bill getting higher and higher, there are 4 things to consider. 1, how much data are you really using? As we get older, we use less data on our wireless phone, but you're probably still paying for an unlimited plan that was designed for 20-somethings. 2, if you see Get a Phone on Us, get your sneakers out and run the other way. No one is giving you a free phone. You are paying for that phone over time with an overpriced rate plan and a long-term commitment. 3, check the fine print on that $15 a month plan. It's probably an intro price that'll double or triple later. You might even have to pay for several months of service up front. Number 4, be aware of cable company wireless plans. Most of your usage will be on Wi-Fi instead of 5G, and your calls and battery life could suffer. Switch to Consumer Cellular and get the same fast, reliable nationwide service without the big wireless bill. Our plans start at just $20 a month.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com/facts. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
Hey, if you got weekend plans, make sure your home is ready for them. I called Wise Guys Pro Wash and boom, the house, driveway, and patio were spotless. They even cleaned the roof. I didn't even have to be home. They are truly professionals using the top equipment in the industry, and their soft washing kept my home safe and damage-free, and the results, incredible. Wise Guys has more than 2,000 five-star reviews, and I know why now. So mention me, Chris Chandler, for $70 off your next service. Book today at wiseguysprowash.com.
95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
WSB Atlanta, WSB BFM, and HD1 Doraville. 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
Monday, starting at 5 a.m. on Atlanta's Morning News, our exclusive 5-day forecast helps you plan your 4th of July week ahead. Breaking metro stories, too, and triple team traffic get you to work on time. Plus, when Clark Howard expects car prices to go down, and U.S., Iran, Israel latest, including our Monday chat with CBS's Scott McFarland in Washington. Join us starting at 5 for Atlanta's Morning News on 95.5 WSB.
All the information without the spin. It's the Eric Erickson Show.
Greetings, conversationalists. There is breaking news that I need to bring you. The Department of Homeland Security has announced it's ending temporary protected status for 500,000 Haitians inside the United States. Additionally, in a separate related matter, the University of Virginia's president, James Ryan, has announced he will be resigning. These are massive, massive wins for the Trump administration in light of the, on DHS, the Supreme Court decision. And then on this one, the Trump administration has been investigating the school over its diversity, equity, and inclusion matters and efforts. And the Trump administration has been pressuring the university for change. So the president has announced that the University of Virginia, he'll be stepping down. The Justice Department demanded his resignation as a condition to settle a civil rights investigation into the diversity practices. In a letter to the head of the board, according to the New York Times, overseeing the university, Mr. Ryan said that he had planned to step down at the end of the next academic year, but given the circumstances and conversations with deep sadness, he's decided to resign. 10 days ago, the Justice Department issued a stern warning to the board overseeing the University of Virginia that the school needed to act quickly. The department informed the college of multiple complaints of race-based treatment on campus and that the government had concluded the use of race in admissions and other student benefits were widespread practices through every component of the institution. So the president of the university is resigning, and the Department of Homeland Security ending temporary protected status for 500,000 Haitians. That's happening right now. Now, you should go over to Vision Computers today. If you need a new computer, if you need new technology, visioncomputers.com is the website. 404-COMPUTE is the phone number. They can build you a brand new machine. You could go to the one-size-big-box store. You can get the generic machine you don't know anything about that's designed for the average person. Are you average, really? With Vision, they're going to spend time with you asking your needs and your wants. They can explain to you what the GPU is versus the CPU, the RAM, the ROM, the hard drive, the solid-state drive, all of that, what you need. Your monitor specs, everything, so you actually know what you're getting. You know how to use it, and then they're your one-stop shop for customer service. If you ever have a problem, you call them, 15 seconds or less, they give you the answer. They can even remote in and help you, and you get a discount if you mention Eric sent you. Go to visioncomputers.com or call them at 404-COMPUTE. Now, you people in Kalispell, Montana, listen to me. They handle every state. So you don't have to go to the place in Montana. Call Vision, 404-COMPUTE, visioncomputers.com. Connecticut, California, doesn't matter. 404-COMPUTE or visioncomputers.com.
Take your summer celebration to the next level with a Bullfrog hot tub from Brown's Pools and Spas. Entertain and enjoy your yard with your family like never before. Only Bullfrog offers the Jetpack Therapy System, allowing you to customize each seat to fit every body in your family. Shop our Independence Day hot tub sale now. Instant rebates up to $1,500 or special financing for up to 120 months. Offer ends July 7th. Celebrating over 50 years of BrownsPools.com.
Live from the Superior Plumbing Studios.
News,
Weather,
traffic.
95.5 WSB.
Atlanta's News and Talk.
It is 1:30. Good afternoon. I'm Sabrina Cupid. This news sponsored by Ben Hill Renovation. The Supreme Court making major rulings today. One, around birthright citizenship. The justice is ruling that district courts do not have the power to block the president's actions nationwide, meaning President Trump's executive order, which declared the children of parents who enter the U.S. illegally or on a temporary visa are not entitled to automatic citizenship, and it still stands. The president praising the court's decision.
Which now comes to the fore That was meant for the babies of slaves. It wasn't meant for people trying to scam the system and come into the country on a vacation.
The Supreme Court did not rule specifically on the merits of birthright citizenship, which is in the Constitution. The Supreme Court also upholding a Texas law requiring pornographic websites to verify whether their users are over the age of 18. They have to submit a government-issued identification, like a driver's license. The ruling was a 6-3 decision. A similar law was passed here in Georgia last year. This is new this half hour, nearly 2 years since she was shot through a neighbor's door. Jalen Evans-Jones asking for the state attorney general or the governor to reopen the Gwinnett County investigation. All charges were dropped against the shooter who opened fire once Jones knocked on his door to ask him to turn down his music at the Veranda Chase Apartments.
To just let it go like that and not even do the least bit is a travesty, not only to me, but to the community.
The district attorney's office dismissing charges against the man, saying the shooting was in self-defense. Consumer spending slowed in May. Government figures showing personal spending fell 0.1% after rising slightly in April. Americans spent less on cars, hotels, restaurants last month, with gas stations also reporting a big decline in sales. It was due mainly to lower oil prices. Analysts say many consumers are pulling back on spending because of uncertainty over trade wars and a softening job market. It's 1:32.
Men, trouble in the bedroom? Not anymore. Priority Men's Medical Center restores your love life in just one visit. Their painless breakthrough treatments eliminate ED and PE. Here's a specialist in men's health.
I'm Dr. Simovitz. Have Viagra or Cialis let you down? Priority Men's Medical Center offers the most effective treatments that eliminate ED and PE, with men lasting longer than ever. 98% of patients see instant results on their first visit.
Priority Men's Medical Center's breakthrough treatments eliminate ED and PE, regardless of age or medical history. Your consultation and first treatment are free. You'll see instant results in the office. Plus, qualified patients get their testosterone checked free. Call 404-885-8885. 404-885-8885. To restore your love life in just one visit, call now. 404-885-8885.
Hey, y'all, it's Eric Erickson here. Do you know the difference between strategy and tactics? As somebody who ran campaigns, I always find people sometimes they engage in tactics. We steer the ship left and then right, starboard, port, left, right, slow down, speed up. But do you make sense of it? The strategy is the overall picture of how you want to accomplish your goal. And then the tactics are the individual things you do to accomplish the strategy to meet your goal. And when you're dealing with your retirement, you need a financial advisor who understands that. That's David Nicholas, Nicholas Wealth Management. My wife and I actually sat down with David and mapped out our goals for the future and our retirement and realized that we had engaged in a series of tactics, but we really didn't have a comprehensive overall strategy that made it work. You want a comprehensive overall strategy so that when you hit retirement, well, you've met your goals. And David Nicholas can help you do that. You sit down with David today, and he can give you a free wealth analysis. Christy and I did this with him. You can do this with him, and you're going to get a strategy. You're not just going to have a financial advisor who's deploying a bunch of tactics without the overall strategy to get you to meet your goal. Talk to David and his team at nicholaswealth.com. Call them at 678-990-8500. That's 678-990-8500 or nicholaswealth.com.
Nicholas Wealth Management is an independent financial services firm and uses a variety of different investment strategies. This is prepared for informational purposes only. It does not address specific investment objectives or the financial situation and particular needs of any person who listens to this show. Eric Erickson is a current client and is paid for this ad.
Alex Williams with a look at the roads.
Still got this stall in the center lane in Tucker, 285 southbound, the inner loop North Lake Parkway exit 36. You're already slow back into Doraville, and it's getting slower in Buckhead. We got emergency roadwork set up in the left lane, 400 southbound below Lennox Road exit 2. Once you get past that, you jam up again from the 85-400 merge, trying to head into Midtown and downtown. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
I'm Channel 2 Action News Chief Meteorologist Brad Nitz. 92 with scattered storms this afternoon and evening.
More news at 2 o'clock. Breaking news when it happens. I'm Sabrina Cupid, 95.5 WSB.
Guys, I'm supposed to go play golf at a very fancy golf course this afternoon, and it's supposed to be just, hot. Well, I better not say that. That would get me in trouble. It's going to be hot. The devil will be out on the golf course, and he'll feel like it's winter time for him, but for the rest of us, we'll be sweating. Y'all, I need to spend a few moments on this issue. Progressives don't have a sense of history. They don't. And I'm not saying that to be insulting. It's true. Barack Obama talked about the arc of history bending in their direction, being on the right side of history, but they don't actually have a study of history. And in progressive political thought, they don't really have to look backwards. They're always looking forward. They're leaning forward. Conservatism is grounded in the past and what works and what doesn't work. And for all the people who say, what is conservatism conservative? It's kind of a trite saying to try to move beyond it to some level of populism where they don't really have any ideas. It's just sticking a finger in the wind. Progressivism does have ideas that aren't grounded in the past or human behavior or anything like that. You know, the difference between the French Revolution and the American Revolution is the American Revolution was inarguably a conservative revolution. And I don't mean right wing, left wing in today. What was the American Revolution about? The American Revolution was about claiming the rights of Englishmen that already existed. The Declaration of Independence, which is the mission statement of the American Republic, is all about we're supposed to have these English rights. We're supposed to be Englishmen. And the current government and the king won't give us the rights we're entitled to due to the glorious revolution. Therefore, we must throw them off, not for something new, but for something old. You've got to understand that about the text of the Declaration of Independence. It's very, very, very important that you understand that because you gotta just be able to process what it was all about. And if you can't understand that, if you can't appreciate that, you miss what the American Revolution was about. Just listen to this. Just listen. When in the course of human events it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another and to assume among the powers of the earth a separate and equal station in which the laws of nature and nature's God entitle them, a decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires they should declare the causes. We hold these truths to be self-evident. All men are created equal. They're endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights, life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness. That to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. That whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or abolish it and to establish a new government, laying the foundation on such principles and organizing its power in such forms as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. Prudence indeed will dictate that governments long established should not be changed for light or transient causes. But when a long train of abuses and usurpations, pursuing invariably the same object, evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty to throw off the government and provide new guards for their future safety. What are they saying here? They're saying that we've got these self-evident rights. And these rights are to be secured by government. And when the government stops securing these existing rights, we get new government, not new rights. And that's the key to understand this. They're not saying we get new rights. They're saying we have old rights. And if the existing government doesn't get them, we get new government to preserve the old rights. It was a conservative revolution in that sense. The French Revolution, on the other hand, is widely considered a progressive revolution, happening within a decade of the American Revolution. The French Revolution, what was it about? Throwing off the old regime, the ancient regime, the monarchy, and establishing something completely new and establishing new values and new rights. You have to understand that it's a wonderful juxtaposition between the two. The American Revolution, no one lost their head. The French Revolution, a whole lot of people, including the revolutionaries, lost their heads. The French Revolution was historically considered a progressive revolution. They wanted to get rid of the old and start something new. The American Revolution, historically considered a conservative revolution. They wanted to preserve something old and needed a new government to preserve it. The Americans believed they were the grandchildren, and they were, of men who fought in the glorious Revolution of England, who were given rights under the Bill of Rights. They sailed to the New World as Englishmen. They presumed with those rights, and the British now said, you're no longer Englishmen, you're colonists. You're something less than us. And they had a revolution. Progressives are always rushing ahead into new things without thought for the old. And if you want to understand the fights that we're dealing with today and the Supreme Court decisions today, you've got to understand that what the Supreme Court is doing is essentially putting a boot on a car of the progressive machine, saying, you're moving too fast. You got to stop. We've got to fix you in place. You've got to slow down. conservatism is never about receding or going back to the past. You have these young guys who are all about the past. We want to go back to the 1950s. You know who doesn't want to go back to the 1950s? Black Americans, where they didn't have rights. All these, we got to return to the 50s. No, you don't need to return to the 50s. You're idealizing a past that was actually a bad past for a lot of people. What you want is a restoration of family. You want a respect for family. You want a respect to parental rights. And that's what your conservative Supreme Court has given you today, a respect for families, a respect for religion. We don't have to go back to the Jim Crow era to get this. We can get it, and the progressives move so fast they've tripped over themselves, and the Supreme Court has served as a stumbling block for them. It's good. There's a complete meltdown from the left today on these decisions. They are very, very angry with what the Supreme Court did. And all the Supreme Court's ruling did is say, you gotta slow this stuff down. Let me read for you from Mark Joseph Stern at Slate. Here's his headline: The Supreme Court's birthright citizenship ruling could not be more disastrous. The Supreme Court gave Donald Trump the biggest victory he could have asked for on Friday, effectively abolishing universal injunctions that lower courts use to block his illegal policies nationwide. With a single decision, the conservative supermajority stripped judges of their most powerful tool to rein in lawless executive action, handing the president far more authority to implement even blatantly unconstitutional directives. Friday's 6-3 ruling in Trump versus Casa will create chaos throughout the judiciary and for real people in dire need of protection. The court rolled back 3 universal injunctions that had halted Donald Trump's attack on birthright citizenship, opening the door to its enforcement while the case is litigated. Within hours of the decision, Trump had promised to promptly file to move forward with his unconstitutional birthright citizenship removal plan. At the worst possible time, in the worst possible case, the Supreme Court has ceded immense power to a president who is dead set on abusing it. I could have told you that this was going to happen. I could have told you. Progressives have piled more universal injunctions on Donald Trump than all other presidents combined in his first 100 days. They have rushed forward. In many cases, judges essentially acknowledging they're on the wrong side of the law, but they're doing it to stop the president and slow him down. I mean, that's been the remarkable and unspoken thing by the left, is they don't want to acknowledge that in many of these universal injunction cases, the district court judge are saying, I don't really think you're going to win, but I'm going to stop that SOB anyway for now. And the Supreme Court said, you can't do that. They rush to indoctrinate kids on gay, lesbian, and transgender issues, trying to force kids to read books. You know, that footnote I read you, there were 2 books that they threw out in Montgomery County, Maryland. They threw them out because they were explicitly pornographic. One of the books depicted a kid performing oral sex on another kid. And they wanted that book to be used in kindergarten. And I'm not making that up. It's in the record. It's in that footnote I read to you. They wanted to put in the kindergarten curriculum a book with one child performing oral sex on another child, explicitly drawn in the book. And even in Montgomery County, Maryland, when the parents showed up with the book, they're like, okay, we're not going to require this one in kindergarten. It's now in middle school that you get access to that book. Progressives couldn't help themselves. They wanted to rush. They were in a revolutionary zeal for sexual identity. They've been in a revolutionary zeal to stop Trump. They've used judges, and I warned them this would happen. I told you so. I told you in January when the left ran to court and started doing this, they were going to undermine themselves because they showed no restraint. Here's the thing. If they had gotten a couple of universal injunctions against Trump, they probably would have won. But in her decision, Amy Coney Barrett notes the abuse of the universal injunction. It's rampant, it's widespread, it shows no restraint, and it's dependent on the philosophy of the judge against the philosophy of the other person being sued, not actually on the merits of the case. The left could not slow down its zeal. They could not go slow. And what have I told conservatives mad at Amy Coney Barrett? You got to go slow with her. And the same thing with the left. You got to go slow. You got to go slow. And the left doesn't appreciate slowing down. The left doesn't appreciate taking your time. The left doesn't appreciate any of this stuff. They're just in a perpetual quest to advance their own agenda. They're willing to run over anyone who stands in their way. And the Supreme Court today said, nope, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You can't do that. You can't run over these people. You have to respect parents. You have to respect parental rights. You're so in a hurry to force people to be indoctrinated towards new concepts. And the Supreme Court said no. But it's not just the Supreme Court, it's the people too. This is why I'm increasingly convinced now, events change things, and there could be some events, economic recession, things like that, that change this. But if it were held right now, the midterm elections, I actually don't think the Republicans would do terrible. They'd keep the Senate. They may lose the House barely, but they wouldn't do terrible. Why? Because so many Americans who don't like Donald Trump or the GOP are so fearful of the progressive nature of the left right now, they're willing to side with Trump over them. They're willing to stop the progressives by standing with Donald Trump, even though they may not care for Donald Trump, because this revolutionary zeal on the left is a bridge too far for all of them. And they just can't abide it. They understand fundamentally it's not good. They understand fundamentally that the left has got to slow down, and they're not slowing down, and so the courts are going to restrain them as they should. Every defeat the left got in the Supreme Court over the last couple of weeks, from Scarametti on the transgender ban in Tennessee to what happened today, was easily predictable. Their revolutionary zeal stops at a court that is bound to a conservative institution, which is the Constitution of the United States, founded in a conservative revolution, says we're not giving new rights, we're preserving the old rights. And one of the big old rights preserved by the Constitution of the Supreme Court is a parent's right to educate their kids as they see fit and to protect them from the zeal of the indoctrinators in education. Now, conservatives, I want you to think about Old Glory Bank. They built an FDIC-insured bank that backs the Constitution and stands out unapologetically for the country. Now they're doing even more for those who've served. Old Glory Bank's premium checking. It's the same great account y'all have heard me talk about. I have the no-fee checking and savings. The premium account's really good, extra features. And now, if you're a veteran, you can get the premium checking account from Old Glory Bank. That's an interest-bearing account, and your monthly maintenance fee is going to be waived. This is their top-tier account. It pays good interest. It's got no monthly fees for veterans. Just solid, patriotic banking. Respects your service, honors your sacrifice. No woke nonsense, no corporate virtue signaling. This is a bank that values what you value. These are great conservatives. So if you've served the country, this is an account for you. Open yours today at oldglorybank.com/salute. That's oldglorybank.com/salute. Old Glory Bank is an innovative online bank. You can even deposit cash. They are a great bank of great people, of great patriots. They were started by guys like John Rich, Ben Carson, Larry Elder, and more. They'd love to have your business, and if you're a veteran, you can get their premium accounts with interest-bearing accounts with no monthly fee. oldglorybank.com/salute. oldglorybank.com/salute. Banking for Patriots. Member FDIC. Equal housing lender. Terms and conditions apply.
When the truth seems hazy, Eric will clear the way. It's the Eric Erickson Show.
150 Cool Ray Carrier, WSB 24-hour traffic center. Stall cleared in Tucker, 285 southbound, the Inner Loop, North Lake Parkway, exit 36. All lanes are open there. Yeah, Hero holding the HOT lane right now in Duluth to clear up a crash. 85 southbound Pleasant Hill Road, exit 104. And it looks like that construction was very brief in Buckhead. 400 southbound past Lennox Road. The left lane is back open there. Traffic brought to you by Stone Mountain Park. See the same exact fireworks show July 1st to the 7th at Stone Mountain Park. All new fire drones, plus the light show and fireworks finale. Tickets at stonemountainpark.com. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
When news breaks in Georgia.
A meteor traveling at a speed of 30,000 miles an hour.
Across the U.S.
They're probably going to have to decide the issue of birthright citizenship.
And around the world.
Israel claims Iran fired missiles after the truce began.
We've got it covered.
I had a resident who described what sounded like a gunshot coming through his house.
It's not a partisan issue. Democratic presidents don't like these things either.
There are conflicting assessments about just how badly damaged these facilities are.
95.5 WSB, Atlanta's breaking news station.
It's Eric here, and with the election ended, there is change in the air. A new day dawns for American businesses. New regulations, new deregulation, new tax plan, new tax cuts. You may be smelling opportunity in the air. You may be seeing opportunity. Now is the time to consider reaching out to First Liberty Building and Loan and see if they might be able to help you put your plan that's in your head down to paper and see if they can help you capitalize on it. There are so many opportunities out there. If you need to borrow $750,000 or more, well, First Liberty might be able to help you. They make their own lending decisions. They've been doing it since the 90s. They know how to do it, and because the Frost family's been helping businesses since the 90s, they're still going to be there. You're not going to have lender rollover like you've had at other places. Reach out to them, firstlibertyga.com. FirstLibertyGA.com. Spend 10 minutes with them. See if you're a fit for them and them for you. FirstLibertyGA.com.
Buying a car shouldn't be a mystery. Hi, I'm Stacey Ellis, Vice President of the Jim Ellis Automotive Group. At Jim Ellis, we believe in complete transparency because you deserve to know exactly what you're getting. That's why we show you all the numbers, no hidden fees, no surprises. We explain every option clearly so you can make the right decision with confidence. And if you ever have questions, we have answers. Our team is here to guide you, making sure you're informed and in control every step of the way. At Jim Ellis Automotive, we don't want to sell you just any car. We want to help you buy the right car, because doing the right thing for you is what matters most to us. Experience car buying the way it should be, honest, straightforward, and built around you. And don't forget, Jim Ellis buys cars too. It's the safe and easy way to get maximum value for your car. To get started, visit one of our 21 convenient locations across Metro Atlanta or shop online at jimellis.com. The quick, easy, and convenient way to search and compare more than 5,500 cars, trucks, and SUVs. Jim Ellis Automotive, where you can always expect the best.
WSB Atlanta, WSB BFM, and HD1 Doraville. 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
You know, I've had listeners, coworkers, friends come up and ask me, hey, Aram, what makes Advanced Hair Restoration different? Well, allow me to share, along with some details on, get this, their once-a-year summer savings event. First off, Advanced Hair stands by the results, and their before and afters are second to none. With Advanced Hair, your own natural hair guaranteed to grow. Secondly, Advanced Hair combines top-rated physicians with modern technology, creating a concierge-quality experience that's hard to find elsewhere. Finally, Advanced Hair's Advanced FUE begins regrowing your own natural hair the very next day. Quick, simple, and easy. Now, if you have a flexible schedule this summer and you've been waiting for the savings special opportunity, it's here, friends. Advanced Hair Summer Savings Event will get you the most hair for your dollar. It's their best offer ever. For details and to schedule your free consultation, call 770-660-HAIR. One-day treatment, life-changing results. Your new hair guaranteed to grow. 470-660-HAIR or advancedhair.com.
All the news, weather, and traffic you need. 95.5 WSB.
Greetings. Welcome. It is Eric Erickson here. You know how the left says the right's been banning books. We've been banning books, and they have a list of books the right has banned. To Kill a Mockingbird was actually banned by left-wing school districts in California, but you'll find that one there. They blame the right for banned books. And the right isn't banning the books. They're just saying, showing kindergartners depictions of oral sex is probably not something that's good. Don't put them there. Well, a bookstore in San Francisco has announced it is no longer selling J.K. Rowling's Harry Potter books because she's anti-trans. They're not even going to put it on the banned book section of the bookstore. They're just not going to sell it in the store. Now, they're not banning books any more than Republicans have been banning books, but you'll notice if Republicans did this, the media would be declaring that it's a banned book. And here it's San Francisco, and it's just San Francisco. Good gracious. You can't even buy Harry Potter. You know who actually benefits from this? God. God benefits because J.K. Rowling is the only author in world history who's given God a run for his money in selling books. I mean, the Bible is still the most read book on planet Earth, but the Harry Potter series is getting close. Ironic they're helping God with Bible. I wonder if they sell Bibles in this place. Maybe they do, but it's like the Jefferson Bible where the stuff they don't like is redacted. I don't know. Nonetheless, it's there. Now, listen, when we come back, we've got to go in the Wayback Machine because today, 1 year ago today, was one of the most, what will go down as one of the most infamous moments in American history.
He was separating babies from their mothers, putting them in cages, making sure the families were separated. That's not the right way to go. What I've done since I've changed the law, what's happened? I've changed it in a way that now you're in a situation where there are 40% fewer people coming across the border illegally. That's better than when he left office. And I'm going to continue to move until we get the total ban on the total initiative relative to what we're going to do with more Border Patrol and more asylum officers.
President Trump?
I really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence. I don't think he knows what he said either. Look.
Devastating. A year ago today, Joe Biden stood on stage with Donald Trump, intent on fending off the president, fending off Trump's challenge, and instead destroyed his own campaign. And you will recall it took 6 weeks before he actually stepped aside. 6 weeks before Joe Biden stepped aside from running for president again. We got to go back into the Wayback Machine. We got to play some of the great audio from the CNN debate. And then for perspective, a remembrance of all the Democrats, including Raphael Warnock of Georgia, who rallied around Joe Biden and insisted all was well and he needed to stay in the race. And now we know from the Tapper Thompson book, Original Sin, behind the scenes, they were freaking out and doing everything they could to get him out of the race as quickly as possible. And Jill Biden insisted all was well and he would stay in the race. Come on back. I'll take your calls as well. 877-973-7425.
Monday, starting at 5 a.m. on Atlanta's Morning News, our exclusive 5-day forecast helps you plan your 4th of July week ahead. Breaking metro stories, too, and triple team traffic get you to work on time. Plus, when Clark Howard expects car prices to go down, and U.S., Iran, Israel latest, including our Monday chat with CBS's Scott McFarland in Washington. Join us starting at 5 for Atlanta's Morning News on 95.5 WSB.
What is All Care? All Care is expert urgent care and primary care under a single roof, offering convenience and continuity for your healthcare needs. All Care is a team of physicians and clinicians who know you and your medical history, so they can provide the personalized care you deserve. And with both family and immediate care services offered 7 days a week, All Care means seeing your doctor on your schedule. 15 convenient locations, same-day appointments, and walk-ins welcome. Remember, urgent care plus primary care equals All Care. Learn more at allcare-ga.com.
Summer is peak hosting season, right? Don't let a grimy house keep you from having company over. It's Chris Chandler, and Wise Guys Pro Wash got my place clean and bright and guest ready in just one day. They handled everything, house and deck, driveway, even my dirty roof, and their soft wash kept everything safe. No paint peel, no damage, just clean. If you got people coming over this summer, be sure Wise Guys Pro Wash comes by first. Mention me, Chris Chandler, for $70 off at wiseguysprowash.com. Book now before they fill up.
News, weather,
traffic.
95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
At 2 o'clock, I'm Bill Caiaccio with our top story. President Trump calls it a win for America.
The Supreme Court has delivered a monumental victory for the Constitution, the separation of powers, and the rule of law.
In a case involving the issue of birthright citizenship, the Supreme Court rules 6-3 individual judges do not have the authority to grant nationwide injunctions. However, the ruling did not specifically decide the fate of the president's executive order. With today's ruling, a local group believes the door is open for the Trump administration to end birthright citizenship.
Local immigration advocates like Jerry Gonzalez, head of the Galeo Impact Fund, are sounding the alarm about the future of birthright citizenship.
Unfortunately, the Supreme Court has bended the knee to support the Trump regime in this unconstitutional act of going after newborn babies.
He says the court's ruling could lead to chaos around the country and leaves the door open for the administration to move ahead with ending birthright citizenship, something previous courts have ruled is enshrined in the 14th Amendment. Trump called the rulings a giant win. Jonathan O'Brien, 95.5 WSB.
90 degrees in Atlanta. Watching for more strong storms to develop through the afternoon. Channel 2 Action News Chief Meteorologist Brad Nitz has Atlanta's most accurate and dependable forecast coming up. In what the president calls a victory for parents, the Supreme Court rules a Maryland school board violated the religious rights of parents by not letting their kids opt out of lessons involving LGBTQ-themed books. That ruling will impact schools across the country. A Gwinnett County woman who was shot when she asked a neighbor to turn down his music seeks justice after the man's charges are all dropped.
Unable to button her pants, fasten her bra, tie her shoes, shot in the abdomen and hand by her Veranda Chase Apartments neighbor when she knocked on his door, Jalen Evans Jones calls the last 2 years overwhelmingly difficult.
It makes me want to give up, and I don't want to give up because I have fight in me.
Gwinnett County's DA said the man had acted in self-defense, but Jones disagrees, saying no words were ever exchanged.
I never knew that neighbor. I never met him, never saw him with my eyes.
She calls on the governor and attorney general to reopen the case. Veronica Waters, 95.5 WSB.
Atlanta police are investigating after a woman's tied up and robbed during a home invasion just off Northside Drive. The woman was returning home to her apartment on Wells Street when the suspect forced his way in the door. The suspect tied the woman's hands and ankles using zip ties, then stole her jewelry and a camera from her home. She was not injured. He then fled the scene. It's now 2:02. This news is sponsored by Bread Beckers.
The guaranteed offer from Mark Spain Real Estate is the easiest way to sell your home. Now you can save time and make the most money and eliminate all hassles this summer. Hey, Sean Hannity, Mark Spain Real Estate can sell your home with the strongest all-cash offer in the industry and help you move on your timeline. With over 67,000 satisfied clients, you can trust the most experienced real estate team in the U.S. to sell your home fast. Go to markspain.com and start packing.
Hey, y'all, it's Eric Erickson here. Do you know the difference between strategy and tactics? As somebody ran campaigns, I always find people sometimes they engage in tactics. We steer the ship left and then right, starboard, port, left, right, slow down, speed up. But do you make sense of it? The strategy is the overall picture of how you want to accomplish your goal. And then the tactics are the individual things you do to accomplish the strategy to meet your goal. And when you're dealing with your retirement, you need a financial advisor who understands that. That's David Nicholas, Nicholas Wealth Management. My wife and I actually sat down with David and mapped out our goals for the future and our retirement and realized that we had engaged in a series of tactics, but we really didn't have a comprehensive overall strategy that made it work. You want a comprehensive overall strategy so that when you hit retirement, well, you've met your goals. And David Nicholas can help you do that. You sit down with David today, and he can give you a free wealth analysis. Christy and I did this with him. You can do this with him, and you're going to get a strategy. You're not just going to have a financial advisor who's deploying a bunch of tactics without the overall strategy to get you to meet your goal. Talk to David and his team at nicholaswealth.com. Call them at 678-990-8500. That's 678-990-8500 or nicholaswealth.com.
Nicholas Wealth Management is an independent financial services firm and uses a variety of different investment strategies. This is prepared for informational purposes only. It does not address specific investment objectives or the financial situation and particular needs of any person who listens to this show. Eric Erickson is a current client and is paid for this ad.
What would you do with $1,000 this summer?
Hotel, pool, week at the beach, cabin in the woods.
Whatever you want to do this summer,
WSB has $1,000 to make it happen.
$1,000 Thursdays gives you the chance to win $1,000 every hour between 9 a.m. and 4 p.m.
Listen for the keyword at 9, 10, and 11 a.m. and 12, 1, 2, and 3 p.m.
Enter the keyword at WSBradio.com or on the WSB app within that hour.
You could win $1,000. Get all the info at WSBradio.com.
$1,000 Thursdays.
Next Thursday from 95.5 WSB, where Atlanta wins.
It's now 2:05. Time for live team coverage of traffic and weather in the 24-hour traffic center. Alex Williams.
Hey, good afternoon, Bill. Just cleared up a crash heading into Midtown on I-85 southbound, just past Georgia 400, but nonetheless, it stays slow from there on 85 south, 75 south, hitting the brakes around Northside Drive. All that traffic just trying to make your way down past 17th Street. Northbound delays filling in as well this Friday afternoon from Langford Parkway up past Freedom Parkway, and construction clearing up into Cab 20 eastbound past Wesley Chapel Road. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
I'm Channel 2 Action News Chief Meteorologist Brad Nitz. 92 with scattered storms this afternoon and evening.
86 now in Marietta, 88 in Peachtree City, and 90 in Snellville. More news at 2:30. Breaking news when it happens. I'm Bill Caiaccio, 95.5 WSB.
Breaking news as markets are starting to go down. They're all touching record highs by and large, but they're starting to go down now as this breaking news hits the wire as I come back on air right now. The president has taken to True Social to announce he is shutting down all trade negotiations with Canada effective immediately. Here is what he just put on True Social a few moments ago. We have just been informed that Canada, a very difficult country to trade with, including the fact that they have charged our farmers as much as 400% tariffs for years on dairy products, has just announced that they are putting a digital services tax on our American technology companies, which is a direct and blatant attack on our country. They are obviously copying the European Union, which has done the same thing and is currently under discussion with us also. Based on this egregious tax, we are hereby eliminating all discussions on trade with Canada effective immediately. We will let Canada know the tariff that they will be paying to do business with the United States of America within the next 7-day period. Thank you for your attention to this matter. I love the thank you for your attention to this matter. He's giving them a 7-day period. If I were Ottawa, I would take cover real quick because bombs may be dropping tomorrow. My goodness. It's actually a very big deal here. The president deciding to suspend trade talks with Canada. We're going to keep the tariff. So what is a digital services tax? A digital services tax is a tax on essentially American social media companies that continue to dominate their European Union rivals. See, the European Union, Spotify is the only big tech company that Europe has been able to develop over the last several years. All the others are Americans, and so the European Union, to stifle American competition, has been adding a tax to them. Germany has started it. France went with it. Then the European Union decided to make it a continent-wide thing, and now Canada is embracing also this digital services tax. That's a monumental problem for American companies because it does put them at a technology disadvantage. And the only reason these countries are doing it is to put American companies at an egregious disadvantage. So that's a serious problem. It's a good thing that Trump is pushing back on this and getting them to try to scale back. But it's happening right now. The markets have been very high. And even right now, just to give you a sense of it, where they are, the Dow is up 364 points, but had been up much higher than that. The NASDAQ is up 59 points. The S&P 500 up 23 points. The S&P, all of them had been up very, very high today. For example, this at noon today, the S&P was up at 61.87. It's now down to 61.63. It got as low as 61.59. Still leveling out okay. This is actually, I gotta say, it's a good thing that the president is fighting back on the digital service tax. By the way, there's also a growing number of economists you should know out there who are starting to think, given the rate of the American economy, given energy prices, that we're not actually going to feel the tariffs. If the tariffs stay at 10%, there are a growing number of economists thinking that those of us who are very hostile to the tariffs, that we've got it wrong, not necessarily because they're not being a pass-through to consumers, as we warned that's happening, but because energy costs have dropped so much, those energy costs are offsetting, the reduction in energy costs are offsetting the increase in the tariffs, and they balance each other out. A robust economy with robust with low prices in fuel is actually benefiting all of us. Now, we got to go back in the Wayback Machine. Today is the day that ended Joe Biden's presidential campaign. It took him 6 months to realize he was dead man walking. But still, it happened.
That of any president in a 4-year period, number one. Number two, you got $2 trillion tax cut benefited the very wealthy. What I'm going to do is fix the tax system. For example, we have 1,000 billionaires in America. And what's happening? They're in a situation where they, in fact, pay 8.2% in taxes. If they just paid 24%, 25%, either one of those numbers, they'd raise $500 billion, I should say, in a 10-year period. We'd be able to wipe out his debt. We'd be able to help make sure that all those things we need to do, child care, elder care, making sure that we continue to strengthen our health care system, making sure that we're able to make every single solitary person eligible for what I've been able to do with the with the COVID. With dealing with everything we have to do with. Look, if we finally beat Medicare.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump?
Well, he's right. He did beat Medicare. He beat it to death, and he's destroying Medicare because all of these people are coming in. They're putting them on Medicare. They're putting them on Social Security. They're going to destroy Social Security. This man is going to single-handedly destroy Social Security. These millions and millions of people coming in, they're trying to put them on Social Security. He will wipe out Social Security. He will wipe out Medicare. So he was right in the way he finished that sentence. And it's a shame. What's happened to our country in the last 4 years is not to be believed. Foreign countries, I'm friends with a lot of people, they cannot believe what happened to the United States of America. We're no longer respected. They don't like us. We give them everything they want, and they think we're stupid.
The remarkable thing with that whole clip, and you can't see it on radio, obviously, is there's a split screen between Donald Trump talking and Joe Biden. And Joe Biden is looking down and off to the side, his mouth's a little bit open, and it's like there's nothing going on there. Nothing going on there. It was a remarkable debate between these two men. And it was a remarkable debate between Joe Biden and even the stage floor. And it was his campaign. And again, I know there's this thinking on the right. We now know it's not true from Tapper and Thompson's original Sin book. There are some of the right who think that Joe Biden's campaign pushed him out there because he wouldn't get out of the race. They needed to sabotage him, and that's what this debate was for. We actually know from the book and from the reporting, from the people even on background who won't even say it publicly but are insistent that, no, they really did think Joe Biden could get out there and beat Donald Trump, and that's why they wanted to get this out there, because they wanted to dispel the myth he wasn't ready, and instead they sabotaged him.
Well, everybody was amazed by it. Other countries were copying us. We got hit with COVID. And when we did, we spent the money necessary so we wouldn't end up in a Great Depression, the likes of which we had in 1929. By the time we finished, so we did a great job. We got a lot of credit for the economy, a lot of credit for the military, and no wars, and so many other things. Everything was rocking good. But the thing we never got the credit for, and we should have, is getting us out of that COVID mess. He created mandates. That was a disaster for our country. But other than that, we had given them back a country where the stock market actually was higher than pre-COVID, and nobody thought that was even possible. The only jobs he created are for illegal immigrants and bounce-back jobs, a bounce-back from the COVID. He has not done a good job. He's done a poor job, and inflation's killing our country. It is absolutely killing us.
And Biden just simply couldn't respond to any of these things. He tried some witty one-liners, and it just didn't work for him.
Let's turn to concerns that voters have about each of you. President Biden, you would be 86 at the end of your second term. How do you address concerns about your capability to handle the toughest job in the world well into your 80s?
Well, first of all, I spent half my career being criticized as being the youngest person in politics. I was the second youngest person ever elected to the United States Senate, and now I'm the oldest. This guy's 3 years younger and a lot less competent. I think that just look at the record. Look at what I've done. Look how I've turned around the horrible situation he left me. As I said, 15 million new jobs, 800,000 manufacturing jobs, more investment in America, over billions of dollars in private investment in enterprises that we are growing. By the way, we brought an awful lot of people, the whole idea of computer chips. We used to have 40% of the market. We invented those chips, and we lost it because he was sending people to find the cheapest jobs overseas and to bring home a product. So I went to South Korea. I convinced Samsung to invest billions of dollars here in the United States. And guess what? Those fabs, they call them, to build these chips, those fabs pay over $100,000.
Just the whole way through, he stumbled. And of course, there was this fantastic moment, the greatest moment of the debate a year ago today, arguing over their golf handicap.
And one of them said they've never seen anybody ace him.
Thank you. President Biden?
You can see he is 6'5" and only 223 pounds, or 235 pounds. Well, you said 6'4", 200. Well, anyway, anyway, just take a look at what he says he is, and take a look at what he is. Look, I'd be happy to have a driving contest with him. I got my handicap, which when I was vice president, down to a 6. But by the way, I told you before, I'm happy to play golf if you carry your own bag. Think you can do it?
That's the biggest lie. He's a 6 handicap of all.
I was at 8 handicap.
Yeah.
8.
Never.
But I have, how many?
I've seen you swing. I know you swing.
Let's
not act like children.
President Trump, we're going to
21
turn
Let's not act like children.
to a specific concern that voters have about you. Will you pledge tonight that once all...
Just being childish. You are a child. You don't have a 6. I've seen your swing. It was an 8. It is a... No, it's not. I've seen your swing. Oh, my gosh. It was the gift that kept on giving. But it was painful. The meltdown of Democrats that night and then the rally around the flag as well, the vouching for... Remember initially the spin helpfully regurgitated by the media was he actually had a cold. Just let's go to the NBC News' coverage the day after the debate.
It is yet another extraordinary moment in the 2024 election cycle, with Democrats in a state of crisis after President Joe Biden delivered a disastrous debate performance that fueled voters' top concerns about his age and ability to serve another 4 years in office.
Yep.
Let's turn now to David Ignatius. And David, of course, you wrote a piece months ago about Joe Biden's age. I think you and I disagreed vehemently, and I think we're going to disagree again. Having said that, what's your latest reporting on what you're hearing about this situation with the president? And do you agree the president needs to reassure Americans whether or not this was an episode versus sort of a sign of things to come?
So, Mika, what I'm hearing, what we're all seeing is that the Biden family, the inner circle around the president, are, to use the usual phrase, circling the wagons. They're resisting what they see as ill-considered advice that he withdraw from the race. I always remind myself, Mika, that the president's inner circle feels that he's always underestimated.
The inner circle protecting Biden helped Donald Trump so much. The calculations, it was just wild to watch that happen in real time before our eyes. And it was something you and I and everyone else who paid attention knew. And the Democrats knew, but they couldn't bring themselves to tell the truth. I always thought it was very funny. Shortly after Donald Trump got elected, they started immediately questioning Donald Trump's capacity and whether or not he was too old to serve. And it's been a staple You go over to the Drudge Report, which is a complete alternate reality these days, questioning whether or not Donald Trump is having mental issues in the presidency, something they never did with Joe Biden. And the media itself, we couldn't believe our eyes. It was fake news. It was cheap fakes. It was all of that stuff. And now we know those cheap fakes of us watching Joe Biden go off the stage being led by Obama, it was all real. It was all true. And the media to this day never wants to own up to its role in it. It's just been wild to watch. A year ago today, the Democratic Party began its collective freakout. And I had told you all last year, January of last year, if Biden was the nominee, Trump was going to win. It was that obvious. And the Democrats insisted Joe Biden was going to win. Well, how'd that work out for y'all?
Follow Eric on X, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and Rumble. Search EW Erickson.
221 Coolray Carrier, WSB 24-hour traffic center. It's getting slow both ways between Marietta and Kennesaw on 75, both north and southbound, anywhere between Delk Road and the Wade Green Road area. On the south side, just picked up a new crash. It's in the center lane on the JM-CAM, 75 southbound, Hudson Bridge Road, exit 224. Already slow from 675, and the brake lights continue to fill in both directions through downtown between the 85-400 merge and I-20. Traffic brought to you by Whole Foods Market. Save on premium protein at Whole Foods Market. Get 20% off. No antibiotics ever. New York strip steaks with Prime through July 1st. Shop in store or online. Terms apply. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
You're by the pool.
You're relaxing.
You're sipping a drink.
Someone brings you a towel.
Adjust the umbrella.
Sound like a fantasy?
It's not if you win $1,000 from WSB.
It's WSB's $1,000 Thursdays next Thursday.
Listen for the keyword at 9, 10, and 11 a.m. and 12, 1, 2, and 3 p.m.
Enter the keyword at WSBradio.com or the WSB app within that hour, and you could win $1,000. Get all the info at WSBradio.com.
$1,000 Thursdays
from 95.5 WSB,
where Atlanta wins.
It's Eric here, and with the election ended, there is change in the air. A new day dawns for American businesses. New regulations, new deregulation, new tax plan, new tax cuts. You may be smelling opportunity in the air. You may be seeing opportunity. Now is the time to consider reaching out to First Liberty Building and Loan and see if they might be able to help you put your plan that's in your head down to paper and see if they can help you capitalize on it. There are so many opportunities out there. If you need to borrow $750,000 or more, well, First Liberty might be able to help you. They make their own lending decisions. They've been doing it since the 90s. They know how to do it, and because the Frost family's been helping businesses since the 90s, they're still going to be there. You're not going to have lender rollover like you've had at other places. Reach out to them, FirstLibertyGA.com. FirstLibertyGA.com. Spend 10 minutes with them, see if you're a fit for them and them for you. FirstLibertyGA.com.
The reason many of us hate insurance companies is because some of them act like bullies. I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. I've been dealing with these creatures my whole career. Whether it's a workers' comp claim, an auto accident, or a nursing home or medical mishap, the playbook is often the same: deny and delay. We became the largest injury firm in America for a reason. We fight the bullies. They know who we are, and I know it makes a difference for our clients. Just go to forthepeople.com and see our results and our verdicts after those bullies gave us their final offer. Hiring the wrong firm can be disastrous. Hiring the right firm could substantially increase your settlement. It's easy to get going. Visit forthepeople.com on your phone or computer, or call us on your cell at pound law, pound 529. Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm. forthepeople.com.
Morgan & Morgan Atlanta, 191 Peachtree Street, Atlanta, Georgia. Dial pound law. Prior results do not guarantee a similar outcome.
If you've ever organized your closet only to have it look like a bomb went off in there 1 month later, then it's time to call Artisan Custom Closets. Dave Baker here with a custom spacious closet from Artisan. You'll never have to deal with all that clutter again. ArtisanCustomClosets.com.
Men, trouble in the bedroom? Not anymore. Priority Men's Medical Center restores your love life in just one visit. Their painless breakthrough treatments eliminate ED and PE. Here's a specialist in men's health.
I'm Dr. Simovitz. Have Viagra or Cialis let you down? Priority Men's Medical Center offers the most effective treatments that eliminate ED and PE, with men lasting longer than ever. 98% of patients see instant results on their first visit.
Priority Men's Medical Center's breakthrough treatments eliminate ED and PE, regardless of age or medical history. Your consultation and first treatment are free. You'll see instant results in the office. Plus, qualified patients get their testosterone checked free. Call 404-885-8885. 404-885-8885. To restore your love life in just one visit, call now. 404-885-8885.
The guaranteed offer from Mark Spain Real Estate is the easiest way to sell your home. You can save time, make the most money, and eliminate all the hassle this summer. Hi, it's Chris Chandler. My friends at Mark Spain Real Estate can sell your home with the strongest all-cash offer in the industry and help you move on your timeline. With over 67,000 satisfied clients, you can trust the most experienced real estate team in the U.S. to sell your home fast and for maximum profit. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer on your home today and start packing.
Your non-stop news source, 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
Get Eric's daily show prep email. Text DATA to 33777 and you'll be in the know.
Hello and welcome. It is Eric Erickson here. Listen, we're going to open the phone line. It's been a busy day, y'all. I apologize. We've had so much breaking news going on today. It's supposed to be an open line Friday, and here we are, and we've been still in review of the Supreme Court and everything else, and I had to get to the Biden debate, so just be patient with me. When we come back, I'm going to take your phone calls. All of you, I will take your phone calls. 877-973-7425. But we've got more breaking news. I've got to get back to this story. The president's saying he's suspending trade with Canada, suspending negotiations with Canada at the moment. It has sent markets careening downward. They have been much, much higher today. In fact, they've been at records. The reason is because Canada has decided it wants to do a digital service tax on American corporations, which is essentially a tax on Facebook, Snapchat, Twitter, you name it. It's a targeted tax the European Union conjured up. They have decided they were going to do that. They treated it separate from the trade agreement with the United States, and Donald Trump is saying no deal, and he will shut down all trade talks with Canada over this. At the same time, China is now confirming that it is working on a broad U.S. trade deal that will also govern access to rare earth minerals. All of this is kind of happening here at one time. So it's a busy afternoon with lots of Friday afternoon stuff coming. Now, I apologize for keeping so many of you on hold for so long with all the news we've had to cover today. 877-973-7425 is the phone number if you want to be on the program. When we come back, I will take your phone calls. I'll start with those out of the gate, and we can move on with everything. Unless there's some breaking, unless there's more breaking news today, Lord knows. Right now, I got to tell you about Americans for Prosperity because they would love to get you involved on the president's tax cuts. There's the breaking news. This is happening now. The president announced he absolutely wants this trade package done, or tax package done by July 4th. He said this morning it didn't have to be. He's now on social media saying he does. Americans for Prosperity having to get it over the finish line. They want to help it. Go to protectprosperity.com to make it happen. Protectprosperity.com. Americans for Prosperity is fighting for the president's tax reform plan. They understand it's a flawed bill, but it's better than nothing. And if without it, we will all get massive tax increases. And they want your voice to be added to the conversation. If you go to protectprosperity.com, they make it very, very easy for you to reach out to your members of Congress, in particular your senators right now. It's breaking news happening at this moment as I'm speaking in this ad. The president insisting now he wants the tax plan passed by July 4th. This morning at his press conference, he said it didn't have to be. It could be closer to Labor Day. Now saying July 4th, get it done next week. Go to protectprosperity.com if you want to help the president get this tax plan done. Protectprosperity.com.
My old mentor had a saying, if you want to know how rich you are, add up everything you have that money can't buy and death can't take away. Even if you've been chasing a version of wealth that doesn't last, you can still redirect. First, make sure your own relationship with God is what it needs to be. And then help others get right with Him too. Only two things with us today last forever: the Word of God, and the souls of people. This is Tom Gray, and This Stuff Matters.
ThisStuffMatters.net.
Live from the Superior Plumbing Studios.
News, weather,
Traffic. 95.5 WSB.
Atlanta's News and Talk.
At 2:30, I'm Bill Caiaccio with our top story. President Trump celebrating a ruling from the Supreme Court today on his effort to stop birthright citizenship. In a 6-3 decision, the court decides district judges do not have the ability to issue nationwide injunctions. Local immigration advocate Jerry Gonzalez has this reaction.
Unfortunately, I think this is a horrible decision by the Supreme Court.
The ruling was not on Trump's executive order itself, but Gonzalez says it leaves the door open to allowing the administration to end birthright citizenship. The Supreme Court sides with parents who say they should be able to opt their children out from lessons involving LGBTQ-themed books.
This is a tremendous victory for parents.
President Trump praising today's 6-3 decision. The court says a Maryland school board decision to not allow for parents to opt out their children of lessons involving the books violates their religious rights. In her dissent, Justice Sonia Sotomayor says the result will be chaos for the nation's public schools. President Trump says the U.S. is ending all trade talks with Canada. The president says it's because Canada is putting a digital services tax on American technology companies, which he called a direct and blatant attack on the U.S. A Flowery Branch man faces multiple counts of sexual exploitation of a child. Investigators with the Hall County Sheriff's Office find at least 10 images of minors engaged in sexually explicit activity on 2 electronic devices belonging to 29-year-old Jason Robert Lucas. It is now 2:32. Up next, live team coverage of traffic and weather.
This is Scott Slade, and nothing takes the place of time when it comes to spotting problems with your health, especially cancer. The earlier the better. That's where virtual imaging comes in. Virtual Imaging's LDCT body scan can be invaluable, giving you more time for you and your loved ones to take charge of your health. They can detect tumors as early as precancerous virtually anywhere in your body, and aneurysms you may not even know are there. Due to overwhelming demand for a limited time, their $995 core body scan offer has been extended. It's a $2,495 value. Early detection saves lives, and now it's more affordable than ever. Virtual Imaging has gotten such great response to this offer that they've opened up more times in both offices, but appointments will fill up fast, so don't wait. Some minimum requirements may apply. Early detection is your best protection. To schedule your virtual imaging $995 core body scan, call 770-678-SCAN. That's 770-678-SCAN. Or make an appointment by visiting their website at virtualimagingatl.com.
Overhead Door Company of Atlanta is hiring residential garage door technicians and installers. You can earn a hiring bonus up to $2,500. Apply today at overheaddooratlanta.com. overheaddooratlanta.com.
Got a leaky pipe, heating, or cooling issue? Ace Hardware Home Services is around the corner with everything you need to fix it, including the expert to do the fixing. We're not just the helpful hardware folks. We're the helpful home service and repair folks, too. From plumbing to heating and cooling, the licensed and insured experts at Ace Hardware Home Services are ready to keep your home running smoothly all year long. Online at acehardwarehomeservices.com or call 770-233-7787.
Hey, if you got weekend plans, make sure your home is ready for them. I called Wise Guys Pro Wash, and boom, the house, driveway, and patio were spotless. They even cleaned the roof. I didn't even have to be home. They are truly professionals using the top equipment in the industry, and their soft washing kept my home safe and damage-free, and the results, incredible. Wise Guys has more than 2,000 5-star reviews, and I know why now. So mention me, Chris Chandler, for $70 off your next service. Book today at wiseguysprowash.com.
Selling and buying a home doesn't have to be a juggling act. With Orchard, you get cash up front to buy your next place, then more cash when your old home sells. Start with a free home valuation at orchard.com. That's orchard.com.
At 2:34, Alex Williams in the traffic center.
Just cleared up a crash in Stockbridge from the center lane, 75 southbound Hudson Bridge Road, exit 224, but still slow from 675. Hopefully that will get better. All brake lights through downtown, 75, 85 north, stacked in Highway 166, Langford Parkway to Freedom Parkway. Southbound, the heaviest is from the 85 400 merge down to North Avenue, exit 249. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
I'm Channel 2 Action News Chief Meteorologist Brad Nitz. Headed to 92 with scattered storms developing this afternoon and evening. A few of those could be strong to severe with gusty winds, damaging winds, and hail possible. Will dry up overnight. Saturday starts dry, then afternoon storms again, high 91. Afternoon storms and back to the low 90s on Sunday.
89 in Conyers, 90 in Ackworth, 88 in Hampton. More news at 3 o'clock. Breaking news when it happens. I'm Bill Caiaccio, 95.5 WSB.
Politics and culture with clarity.
Greetings, conversationalists. Some of you have wanted to converse with me, and you've been on hold for a long time as we've dealt with all the breaking news today from the Supreme Court to the president. So I am going to go to the phones now here, 877-973-7425. Patty, I got to tell you, I'm always worried about mispronouncing Naugatuck, Connecticut, I believe it is. Welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you so much. You did a perfect job.
Thank you.
Thank you for taking my call. I've been listening to you all week. Outstanding. Can't say enough about you. And I think the times we live in are the times of President Trump. I think he was born for this. I wanted to say I just received this about a half an hour ago, but to me it's really important. It's a health issue, a major health issue. Within the great big beautiful bill, Section 43101 will give the Federal Communications Commission, the FCC, a spectrum auction authority if Section 43101 is not deleted or amended, an unlimited number of antennas that can be added to existing structures without notice or approval. They just found out from the National Call for Safe Technology that H.R. 1 is going to be marked up with a 24-hour window starting today in the Senate and the Commerce Committee. It has passed the House and is being expedited in the Senate. Now, I'm not sure if you're familiar with what is on the street, but this is radiation, various forms of radiation. It has affected many, many people. They have sensitivities to it. Some had to be removed from their home. Children had to be removed from their home. And the more they keep going up and putting more out there, the more radiation that they're exposing us to. It goes right through your windows. It goes right through the walls. And it actually is major health issues of all kinds, from neurological to cancer.
So Patty, I'm actually familiar with this, and let me see if I might be able to calm you down a little bit here, because what happened was under the Biden administration and under the Democrats' reconciliation plan, from when they did all the Green New Deal stuff, they allowed an unlimited spectrum auction from the FCC. So it was already there, and it expired at the end of 2023 and needed to be renewed. What the Republicans' plan is they're going to renew it, except they are going to limit frequency bands. So lower 3 gigahertz bands and higher than 5 gigahertz bands are actually going to be restricted from the auction requirements, unlike what the Democrats have done. So they actually are taking out some of the spectrum that people are most concerned about, and only now going to allow in the spectrum auction those gigahertz and bands that have been generally commonly accepted for some time.
I have a question. Why are they waiting to do it? Because I understand that already passed the House, and it's now in the Senate. And if it's not corrected in the Senate, it will just go through. And my guess is always comes back to this, Eric. There's an awful lot of lobbying that went on with this. I actually been reading about that for a very long time. And it would be interesting to follow the money because, these are people's health they're talking about. I've even communication with Berkeley over this. And I had a specific Dr. Joel Moskowitz, to be honest with you. And I've been studying this for the last 3 years. And I'm telling you, what they have already out there, as I understand, is already not safe. And I will also say this, the data that they actually have on this was from 1998, but it was studies that they had from the 80s. And this was ordered I believe it was August or September. I think it was August of 2021. There was an 11,000-page lawsuit by attorney Scott McCullough, former Attorney General of Texas, former Marine, and he came out of retirement to do this lawsuit with Children's Health Defense.
Well, interestingly, Patty, who you mentioned the lobbyists, I actually know who one of the big lobbyists is on this, and that is the Schools and Library Broadband Coalition. If you go around the country and you check on libraries around the country, you tend to see antenna and satellite dishes on top of a lot of libraries. They allow businesses to rent out roof space. A lot of schools do it as well. In fact, my private school had a big tower, and a big bell tower, and they put microwave transmitting sites inside the school tower. And schools and libraries got a lot of roof space, and they like to put them there. They're one of the biggest lobbyists in the country for doing this. Now, again, I will say, for those of you who are concerned, and I got to be honest, I'm not, but for those who are concerned, the Republicans are restricting the broadband that's available and the spectrum that's available for the auction. The last time did not do that. This time does, but it also has to happen, because if it doesn't, TV stations, radio stations, satellite companies, radio transmission, cell phone companies, there's a limited number of spectrum for them to communicate on, and they're going to be shut out from being able to expand their networks. So the Congress already authorized 5G, whether you like it or not. It's already been authorized. And so this continues the rollout of the expansion. If you don't, this is part of the policy choice here. If you don't like it, you need to attempt to get it banned, but as long as it's not banned, the FCC just needs to be authorized to do another auction. If they don't, what you're going to see are monopoly players take on the spectrum, because once you've given someone access to a particular bit of spectrum, they can keep expanding unless the FCC is selling more. So you either have monopoly players or you have competition in the spectrum, and competition brings down prices. It's going to be used one way or the other. Dodd, you're going to be up next. Welcome to the show.
Hello.
Hi there. How are you?
Hey, pretty good. Love your show, Eric.
Thank you.
Hey, I normally listen to the Mark Aaron in the morning, 9 to 10, in my commute into work. And I've heard on WSB, I think it's the federal news break that y'all have, that millennials and Generation X are having trouble finding work. And with looming AI coming, why is not getting rid of illegal aliens, freeing up jobs, more of an issue with our youngsters? I believe AI is going to be a tidal wave of unemployment, and it won't be tomato pickers or mechanics. It'll be paralegals and artists and writers, and it's wiping out studio people right now. Why is that not more of an issue when it comes to the subject of illegal aliens in America?
That's a great question. So I think the reason is because no one is yet really sure where AI is going to land. There's so much uncertainty. Congress tends necessarily to be reactive, not proactive. They want to see how things play out before they act, and so they're not really sure. I can assure you that AI is going to have a bigger impact on white-collar jobs, particularly in the legal space and in the creative space, and I have a problem with that. What does AI actually do? AI feeds in a lot of existing information, and it can process that information. It can adjust that information, alter that information. It can build things with that information. But what can AI not do? AI cannot, definitionally, it cannot create new information. So when AI is creating new content, separate from information, new content, when AI is creating new content, all it can use is the existing content and information. So everything becomes iterative. Nothing can be new. Think about in history, all of the new things that have blown your mind. You know, I was one of those nerds who stood in line when the iPhone came out the first time. It was something completely new. It was mocked and scoffed at by other phone companies that Apple had no idea what it was doing. Everybody needed a keyboard. Now hardly any phone has a keyboard. They were mocked. It was scoffed. When Apple released the Macintosh, people laughed at the graphical user interface. Now you can't find a computer in most cases with a command line. It's all graphical user interface. Or think about the movies that have come out, the novel concepts. Think about the Christopher Nolan movies that have come out that just blow your mind. AI can't produce new stuff like that. It can only produce iterative things from what you've already seen, so everything looks a little bit alike. And it's going to destroy creativity, except for the really creative people. So yeah, AI can write a song, but that song's going to sound like every other song. Can't write something new, can't write the new beat. Can only iterate from the existing beats. But if you're a lawyer, you got to watch out. I was talking to a guy the other day who says he now runs contract proposals through AI before he goes to his lawyer. It shortens the process and reduces the billing. He wants his lawyer to start using AI more. I'm like, you got to be careful with that because AI starts making crap up. I've had it with me. I've had AI make stuff up with me and tell me that these things are true. And I've got to go back and say, are you being accurate? And they're, oh, no, we're sorry. I'm sorry. I'm not accurate. Like, no, you're not. You're a stupid robot who's trying to please me by telling me lies. It's a weird, weird, weird thing. It's almost demonic. You got to be careful with the AI. But you know who's not going to lose their job? The plumber is not going to lose his job. The AI is not going to come fix your water leak or replace your faucet or clean out your drain. The electrician is not going to lose his job. Honestly, probably the architect is not going to lose his job because of the creativity aspect of it. AI is going to come for the jobs of some. They're going to be on the lower end spectrum, the assistants and things like that. AI is going to be able to do those things, spreadsheet manipulation, all that sort of stuff. But I, honest to goodness, also think that AI is overrated. I don't think AI is going to be as pervasive as some people say. Now, I've got some friends of mine who vehemently disagree with me on this. But even they acknowledge AI is not there yet. We can see where this is headed. I just don't know that it's going to get where everyone expects it to head. Events change things. And again, you know, when China releases the EMP and takes out our internet grid, AI is not going to help you with anything. You're going to have to go back to having people. You're going to have to go back to your landline phones and your radio stations instead of your streaming services. I just don't think that it is as big as people. It's bigger than I initially thought, but I don't think it's going to be as big as some people think. It is going to cost some people their jobs, and it's going to mostly be the white-collar jobs. My daughter, though, was telling me the other day that there has now been this frenzy in publishing of novels, and a lot of people are using AI, and the novels are no longer good. The creative person's going to stand out even more with the rise of AI and helping people write books and stuff. So there are benefits to AI expanding for the creative types out there. I just don't see that we're anywhere near the point where AI is going to be as major as people thought, because the AI itself keeps turning on itself and making these very weird mistakes. You know, they're saying more and more that AI, as more and more content is produced by AI and AI learned from that content, it almost has like this incestuousness in it, and it causes corruption of the data. And I'm seeing where the longer I use AI without clearing out the cache and starting over, it starts just randomly making facts up. It's very weird. And as Apple came out with a big report a couple weeks ago said, what they're finding is that it's not really reasoning in the way people have claimed. It's just looking at representative models and pattern finding. And it's actually identifying patterns. It's not reasoning in the way we process, and that limits the long-term ability of AI to be as useful as we thought. Now, what is useful is the Eden Pure Thunderstorm. You can get 3 of them and save $200 at EdenPureDeals.com. If you go to EdenPureDeals.com, you put in the discount code ERIC3, you get 3 of them. They're an air purifier, and they're filterless, no filter subscription. It gets rid of smoke, it gets rid of pollen, it gets rid of dust, it gets rid of pet dander, it gets rid of 99.9% of bacteria and viruses, and it eliminates all odors. It generates ozone. Ozone touches the electrostatic particles, ionized particles of ozone, of odor, and wipes them out. Smoke odors, litter box odors, dirty diaper odors, pet odors, frying shrimp in the kitchen odors. It doesn't matter. It wipes them out. I've used it in my kitchen. I've used it in hotel rooms. I've used it in rental cars where people have smoked. It wipes them out. I use it in my kitchen when I'm making gumbo and the roux gets smoky when it's right about time to be done, and my wife and kids hate the odor, and it wipes out the odor. EdenPureDeals.com. The discount code is ERIC3, ERICK3. You get 3 of them for less than $200. You save $200. They're highly portable. You can hold it in your hand. You can keep it in your travel bag. They're great. EdenPureDeals.com.
You're at the intersection of politics, news, culture, and current events. It's the Erick Erickson Show.
249 Cool Ray Carrier, WSB 24-hour traffic center. DOT reporting a new stall on the east side inner loop heading between Tucker and Clarkston. 285 southbound near Lawrenceville Highway, possibly in a center lane. We're going to scan the jam cam for that. Elsewhere in DeKalb County, I-20 both east and westbound. Afternoon volume filling in between 285 and the mall at Stonecrest. If you're traveling 85 northbound out of DeKalb into Gwinnett County, just tapping the brakes from 285 up toward Indian Trail. Traffic brought to you by Sam's Club. Ready for some locked-in summer value at Sam's Club till July 22nd. Prices are held on over 1,000 items, including summer must-haves like ice cream. Sign up for a membership and join at samsclub.com/join. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
When news breaks,
In a 6-3 decision, the court has limited individual judges' power on nationwide injunctions.
we've got it covered.
It has huge implications, not just for birthright citizenship, but for every other executive order.
Tune in often for the latest.
Under this president and future presidents.
95.5 WSB.
Atlanta's breaking news station.
Summer's a time to feel and look your best, but I'm not talking about your abs or your tan. Hey guys, it's Mark Aram here. I'm talking about your hair. Restore that bald spot, reverse your receding hairline, or add volume to thinning during Advanced Hair's once yearly summer savings event. Advanced Hair Simple one-day treatment begins to regrow your own natural hair the very next day, and they guarantee your new hair will grow. There's absolutely no one in hair restoration I trust more than Advanced Hair. Take advantage of your flexible summer calendar and get the most hair for your dollar. Advanced Hair Summer Sales Event on for a limited time, so get the details and schedule your free consultation today. 470-660-HAIR. One-day treatment, life-changing results. With Advanced Hair, your new hair is guaranteed to grow. Check out the incredible before and afters and take advantage of their best offer ever. That's 470-660-HAIR or advancedhair.com. 470-660-HAIR or advancedhair.com.
What is All Care? All Care is expert urgent care and primary care under a single roof, offering convenience and continuity for your healthcare needs. All Care is a team of physicians and clinicians who know you and your medical history, so they can provide the personalized care you deserve. And with both family and immediate care services offered 7 days a week, All Care means seeing your doctor on your schedule. 15 convenient locations, same-day appointments, and walk-ins welcome. Remember, urgent care plus primary care equals All Care. Learn more at allcare-ga.com.
It's time for Zero Res Air Duct Cleaning Summer Sale. Take advantage and get 15% off all cleaning services. Mention Chris Chandler to secure this deal today or book online at ZeroResAtlanta.com. Zero Res, all they leave is clean.
Career changers, including veterans and active duty service members. Your transition starts here. Go from GI to IT in a matter of months. Become a certified cyber warrior with training at My Computer Career. Cybersecurity specialists are in high demand, offering IT pros great opportunities and a rewarding lifestyle while protecting our people, liberty, and treasured institutions from cyber threats. Deploy your career in IT today. Learn more at mycomputercareer.edu/CWP. SkillBridge and other VA benefits are available to those who qualify.
If you are 50 or older, it is recommended that you get vaccinated against pneumococcal pneumonia, a potentially serious bacterial lung disease that can disrupt your life for weeks. If you're an adult 19 to 49 with certain underlying medical conditions like asthma, diabetes, chronic heart disease, or COPD, vaccination is also recommended. Talk to your doctor about vaccination today and learn more at lung.org/protectyourself. Furnished by the American Lung Association in collaboration with Pfizer.
If you're ready for real European car lovers to work on your Porsche, Mercedes-Benz, BMW, Audi, discover Wolfpen European Auto Repair in Roswell. And for a limited time, get a free second opinion on repairs when you mention you heard about Wolfpen on the radio. Search Wolfpen Auto Repair to get started.
WSB Atlanta, WSB BFM, and HD1 Doraville. 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
It just doesn't stop, folks. It just doesn't stop. There is breaking news. Senate Republicans have just emerged from a luncheon that's been ongoing on Capitol Hill and now announced they will begin voting on the One Big Beautiful Bill Act tomorrow. That would be Saturday. They're going to stay in Washington to get it done, to honor the president's commitment, try to get done by July 4th. I have a hard time believing it's going to get done by July 4th, given the voting only begins on Saturday. Now, here's the catch. They also acknowledge the final text of the bill is still being drafted, And a text of the bill is not expected to emerge until sometime early Saturday morning before voting begins. Senators are not happy with it and have decided, nonetheless, they're going to continue to pursue it. So remarkable. This is happening right now. Rand Paul saying, quote, the car is still speeding off the cliff. He is unhappy with the spending changes. Many of the changes that the Senate Republicans are having to make are because the parliamentarian is throwing out a lot of stuff that they wanted in the legislation because they are essentially policy issues, not tax issues. Tax issues are allowed in if they shape policy, but policy issues are not allowed in if they shape taxes. It's a very confusing situation, and it relies on a lot of historic precedent. And for the Republicans saying, fire the Senate parliamentarian, and I'm frankly kind of one of the ones who don't understand why we want to keep Harry Reid's parliamentarian, they're not actually going to do that. They're not actually going to do that because, in large part, they agree with the Senate parliamentarian, and they have just flat out refused to acknowledge the truth. The Senate parliamentarian has ruled out major parts of the legislation, according to Axios, from Medicaid policy to many other breaks. What's out? A proposal making gun silencers more easily accessible, a school voucher program section intended to help subsidize private and religious schools, the Medicaid provider tax, a provision meant to block the use of Medicaid funds for gender-affirming care, a proposed restriction on the ability of federal courts to issue nationwide injunctions, an effort to repeal an EPA rule limiting air pollution emissions of passenger vehicles, a provision allowing project developers to bypass judicial environmental review if they pay a fee, a modified version of the REINS Act, which would increase congressional power over major regulation, language to expand state and local officers' ability to carry out immigration enforcement, and limit on grant funding for sanctuary cities. And again, if you listen to all those are policies. They're not actually bottom line primarily about revenue generation. They're about policy changes. The Democrats have gotten away with a lot with this parliamentarian, though. That's the problem, and that's why Republicans are pretty annoyed with it. But they're not going to overrule the parliamentarian. As a result, we're going to have to see how this shapes out. The voting starts tomorrow. Now, quickly, before I get out of here, the president has said he's going to ramp up efforts to begin deportations based on birthright citizenship. The Supreme Court has said that the lower court's decision is not going to immediately go away. The nationwide injunction, they're going to give it 30 days. They're going to hold the nationwide injunction for 30 days. Why? Because the Supreme Court is strongly telling these lawyers you need a class action lawsuit. That was a big discussion in court on these universal injunctions, was using a class action lawsuit. The conservatives seem to think that, yes, a class action lawsuit would be the way to go. So conservatives who think this is a big win, it actually is on nationwide injunctions, but not on birthright citizenship. The Supreme Court signaling a go for class action lawsuits. The president saying he wants to immediately begin the deportations, but the district court gets this injunction for 30 more days and also will consider the ongoing case regarding birthright citizenship, which the president is expected to lose. And it's expected to lose all the way up to the Supreme Court, where even Justice Thomas seemed deeply skeptical of getting rid of birthright citizenship for kids of illegal aliens born in this country. That's the state of play as we go into the weekend. Don't forget to get the 4 things to know this afternoon, because as always, there are things that happen between now and 5 p.m., and I try to bring you up to date. You can find it on YouTube. You can subscribe to podcasts. Text Eric to 33777 to get it all. In the meantime, you guys have a fantastic weekend. I actually will be here with you next week, not taking it off.
The U.S. is investing up to $1 billion to fight the spread of bird flu.
At the top and bottom of every hour.
Traffic congestion around Metro Atlanta continues to cost commuters.
And when it breaks.
The suspect is in critical condition, being struck multiple times.
Check back 3, 4, 5 times a day for the latest.
95.5 WSB, Atlanta's breaking news station. WSB consumer expert Clark Howard.
I gotta admit, I had no idea what Jo-Ann Fabrics was, but it went out of business and had an extremely loyal following. And so now crooks are setting up fake Jo-Ann websites, conning people that Joanne lives on, and then stealing your money. So know that when a business goes out of business and you had real strong feelings for that business, criminals are going to exploit that. And it's true. A lot of businesses that do go out of business, people buy the name and actually are legitimately selling the goods that retailer used to sell. In the case of Joanne, nothing like that so far, so be careful out there.
I'm Clark Howard.
News, weather,
traffic.
95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
At 3 o'clock, I'm Bill Caiaccio with our top story. President Trump celebrates two big Supreme Court rulings today. One concerns his effort to end birthright citizenship. In a 6-3 ruling, the court decides to limit the power of district judges to issue injunctions against executive orders which cover the entire country.
It was a grave threat to democracy, frankly, and instead of merely ruling on the immediate cases before them, these judges have attempted to dictate the law for the entire nation.
This ruling, though, does not specifically decide the fate of his executive order on